Welcome back to the Football Guys YouTube channel. My name is Hutchinson Brown. I'm here to break down two fantasy football quarterbacks that are going close to each other in ADP and just talk about which one I'd rather take. Personally, I'm on one side far more than the other. And you probably saw in the thumbnail, this is going to be Kyler Murray versus Anthony Richardson. And I fall on one side very aggressively. And I think a lot of the community disagrees with me, but I'm going to make my case. Here we go. Before I get this video today, please subscribe to the Football Guys YouTube channel. Click that little notification bell so you'll be notified every single time a new video does drop on this YouTube channel. I'm Hutchinson Brown Football Guys, and I'm at HutchinsonB_FF on Twitter. I do a ton of content if you want to follow me or check out any of my content. I appreciate you. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. I'm going to be arguing to you guys why I think Anthony Richardson should be drafted ahead of Kyler Murray and why you shouldn't look back. Most people, when I said that sentence, probably were like, what? Like, they're like, usually in Dynasty rankings, they're close, but Kyler Murray is usually the guy that people are picking pretty often. Like, Kyler Murray's the guy, right? But Anthony Richardson, I think, is the better person to pick in a startup draft. And even if he busts long-term, even if he ends up busting long-term, I think you could still look back and say that was the right pick to make. And here's why. Anthony Richardson, I mean, we all know, let me just read off his combine numbers for a second. I mean, dude, 6'4", 244 pounds. He ran a 4.4 340, a 40.5 vertical, a 10'9" broad jump. Arguably the best combine for a quarterback of all time. Like, it was unbelievable what he was able to do in the combine, right? And we saw it on the field in Florida. This dude didn't put up the rushing numbers like Cam Newton or some of these other guys that he's comped to, but you saw it on film. You saw the elite athleticism. He's one of the better athletes to ever come out of college at the quarterback position. He really, really is. And here's the thing, when Dynasty fantasy football value comes around, Anthony Richardson, unlike Kyler Murray, which we'll get to later in the video, Anthony Richardson is set to take a big increase in value after his rookie year. And here's why. I mean, all the coaching staff has said is that he's going to start early and he's going to get in there and get some reps. Like, Anthony Richardson's going to be starting for this team, possibly week 1. I would doubt it. I think Gardner Minshew still owns the first 4 to 8 games, but Anthony Richardson's going to get in at some point early. And in that time, he is set to crush it for fantasy. We've seen bad passers crush it for fantasy. Just to name off a couple recently, Jalen Hurts in 2021. Remember how bad he was as a passer, guys? I mean, this dude was, he was horrific. I mean, the receiving core wasn't really helpful. He had Devontae Smith as a rookie as his clear #1 alpha receiver, which isn't great, but he still sucked. Every passing statistical category, like the Eagles were bad at, like everything. They were awful. And then we just saw it last year with Justin Fields. This dude, I mean, and back to Jalen Hurts for a second. After that year, remember, after that year that he sucked, he was picked in before 2022, he was picked in the first round of Dynasty startups in superflex leagues. More it's like the quarterback, like 6, 7, 8 off the board, but he was picked late in the first, or maybe very, very, very early in the second, sometimes if he fell. But like, he was drafted high, even though we knew he was at risk of losing his job soon. And then same things happened with Justin Fields this offseason. Crushed it for fantasy in 2022. Sucked as a passer, though. The Bears, I believe, were dead last in passing touchdowns, passing attempts, and passing yardage when you look at whole NFL teams. I think they were dead last in all 3 of those categories. Like, they sucked when it comes to the passing game. And Justin Fields was still able to put up elite numbers for fantasy. Like, there was a good 6 to 8 week stretch where he was the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy football, over Mahomes, over Allen, over Herbert, over Burrow, like over everybody, over Hurts. Like, he was truly dominant. And now, and he was still awful as a passer. And now we see him drafted in the first round of Dynasty startups, usually like in the top 10. I very rarely see him fall outside the top 10. And some people have him as high as like 5 or 6 in Dynasty rankings, Superflex Dynasty rankings, which I think is a little high, personally. I still have him at 8, personally, for my rankings, but still, he's going high. And I think the same thing is set up to happen for Anthony Richardson here, because he's going to start a few games, and he's a better athlete than Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields. He's going to be a good fantasy asset, if not great, when he's on the field. It doesn't matter how bad his passing stats are. He's going to be great because he's an athlete, and he's going to dominate for fantasy. And as a result, his price should go up. Obviously, he could get injured. That could be bad, or his passing numbers could be so horrifically bad that people are actually worried. But Justin Fields, we saw those passing numbers. They were bad, and people did not care. And I don't think they'll care either this year with Anthony Richardson. I don't think they'll care. So I'm going to be in on Anthony Richardson because I think he's set to take a huge value increase this season and heading into the 2024 offseason. And with that increase, you can decide what to do. If you saw enough flashes as a passer where you're like, I think he's going to break out next year, then you can keep him and have that increased value player. Or if you don't believe in him, take all that value you've now accumulated and sell it off for what you can get. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, is set to make a massive decrease in value this year. Even through the offseason, he is. Sell him right now if you can. Kyler Murray's dealing with an ACL, and he's likely not going to be ready for week 1. If he plays week 1, he's not going to be 100%. He's not going to be running the football like we like him to. It's just not going to happen. And the Cardinals team right now is completely rebuilding. They're tearing everything apart. This is going to be a lost year for them due to the fact that Kyler Murray's not going to be starting healthy and the fact that they've torn apart the roster. This is going to be a lost year for them. They have Houston's pick and the Cardinals, their own pick for 2024, both bad teams. And adding on to that, we know that the relationship between the Cardinals and Kyler Murray is a bit damaged. There have been so many sketchy reports this offseason showing that. And as a result, I think there's a realistic outcome where Kyler Murray gets benched in 2024 by a rookie. If they get the number 1 overall pick at some point, which at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals get the number 1 overall pick in 2024, they could take Caleb Williams and just completely replace Kyler Murray and maybe trade him away to a new team. Like, Kyler Murray could lose his starting job. Like, he's just set to decrease in value throughout the next year or so. While Anthony Richardson, in his rookie year, he's only set to go up. So as a result, I'm taking Anthony Richardson in a startup draft. And if you told me someone traded straight up Anthony Richardson for Kyler Murray, I would take the Richardson side. I really would. Doesn't matter. I mean, well, rebuild or contender, I mean, but it doesn't matter either way because we know Kyler Murray's likely not going to start his first few games. Neither is Anthony Richardson, so it doesn't really matter the situation for me. I want Anthony Richardson. I think the value's there. So that's going to be it for this video today. Thank you all again so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you've been notified every single time a new video does drop. I'm Hutchinson Brown Football, guys. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF on Twitter. And we'll see you all with my next video here for Football Guys.